You are now live on Channel 8 and YouTube.
Good evening. The time is now 6:30 p.m. My name is Matthew Rivard. I'm the chairman of the Templeton Advisory Committee. And at this time, I call the advisory committee to order at 6:30 p.m. on this, the 18th day of November 2021. Will you all please join in standing with me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we begin this evening, I'd like to note that last week we did pass the holiday of Veterans Day. We have 3 holidays in this country for the people who served in our armed forces. Obviously, we have Memorial Day for those who died in the service of our country. We have Armed Forces Day, which is for those who are currently serving in the United States military. And then we have Veterans Day, or those who served in our armed conflicts. At this time, I would ask any of our veterans in the room, if you would please stand and be recognized, we would appreciate it.
Come on, Bennett.
Yeah, you guys.
Thank you very much for your service.
Me too.
All right. The Templeton Advisory Committee regular business meeting is being broadcast live on TCTV Channel 8 and the TCTV YouTube channel. Responses will be made to the comments in the TCTV YouTube channel as time permits. The agenda and the meeting materials for this business meeting were posted to www.mytowngovernment.org/01468 no later than 48 hours prior to the scheduled meeting, in accordance with Commonwealth of Massachusetts open meeting laws. The chairperson reserves the right to add items to, remove items from, and change the order of the agenda. However, the agenda is posted in advance to give the committee and public time to review agenda items and to ensure that the meeting runs within the allotted time frame. I have promised my committee we will get done hopefully in a timely manner tonight. So having said that, let's begin with agenda item 3A. Review and approval of the meeting minutes from October 28th, 2021. I'll accept a motion to approve those minutes as presented. So moved. I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a motion by Mr. Spring and a motion by Mr. Kaplis to accept the minutes as presented. Is there any discussion? Mr. Graves.
Chair. There are only 2 things that I would clarify on here as fixes. On part 7B2, I neglected to write out the full STM for that account for the conservation, for the Community Preservation Commission, and explaining a little bit of language, adding the language. Ms. Pontbriand explained other items on the BBA, and then about the pattern with the expenditures of the various scholarship funds the town has. Mr. Rivard asked questions about the item SDM 05-2010 conservation in the amount of 8,000. Ms. Pontbriand told that she did not have an answer for why the account was not closed out. So I just added that middle sentence there. And then I had adjournment, but I didn't put adjournment at the last section. So if you look at the very end, meeting adjourned at time T on yours, but it's actually supposed to say 8:04 at the bottom, which I have fixed on this.
Mr. Spring, do you accept the amendment?
Yes.
Mr. Kaplis, do you accept the amendment? Okay. The amendment is accepted by acclamation of the mover and the seconder. Is there any other discussion on the minutes from October 28th? Going once?
When will that be updated?
It'll be updated.
When I sent out the draft, I noticed those issues happened, so I fixed those issues. So this is already printed and good.
Okay, so we can upload it.
Yeah, we can upload it immediately.
The clerk will sign that tonight and it'll be uploaded.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you. That's all.
Any discussion second time? Third time, hearing none, we go to a vote. All those in favor of accepting, please say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, abstaining? The yeses have it. That motion passes unanimously at 6:34 p.m. We have, next item on the agenda is item 4, public comments. Do we have any public comments this evening? If so, please come to the hot seat and take the chair and be recognized.
Currie Griffiths, 12 Drury Lane and Select Board. Just wanted to extend an invitation to the advisory committee to attend any or all of the tree lighting ceremony on December 5th. Supposed to have a parade, I'm not sure, but you're welcome to walk in it with us, and we'll have the plans formalized by next Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Griffiths. We appreciate it. Is there any other public comment this evening?
Jeff Bennett, Templeton. I just want to, again, since I see it, it's officially on the agenda, the resignation of the chairman, Mr. Rivard. I want to thank you for your service. Thank you for taking time to be involved. There are three people here that have been the chair of this committee at one time or another, myself, Mr. Spring, and yourself. We're aware of the effort, the time, the work that chair puts in on this committee, like many other committees, but it's a lot of effort, it's a lot of time, and it takes, you got family, you have work, you have this, to do it right, it's a lot of effort. So I'm sorry to see you go, but I appreciate you taking the time and volunteering on this committee. Hope to see you back maybe sometime in the future, but I just wanted to again thank you for taking the time to serve and wish you well.
Thank you.
Second. Miss your personal style.
Thank you all.
You're not going
Yeah,
anywhere unless you
likewise.
drag the chair with you. You're tied to it.
This is handcuffs, you know?
That what the glue, gorilla glue was
Am I allowed to
for.
move that those comments be stricken? Is there any other public comment this evening? Thank you, Mr. Yeah. Go ahead.
He ain't going nowhere.
Is there any other public comment this evening? All right, moving from public comment, we go to item 5A. On November 11th, 2021, a resignation by Matthew Rivard. I will read the letter. Good afternoon, all. Previously, I committed to serving the advisory committee for the fall town meeting. I have completed this commitment, and I am proud of the work that we did in preparation for that meeting. I want to thank the committee for their careful deliberation in advance of the fall town meeting and for committing to writing good recommendations to benefit the townspeople in making educated decisions. I hope that the recommendations we wrote for the fall town meeting serve as a baseline, and the committee continues this tradition moving forward. Having completed my stated commitment and also having reassessed my personal situation, I am tendering my resignation as both the advisory committee chairperson and as a member of the committee effective Friday, November 26, 2021 at 5 p.m. This will give me enough time after our meeting on Thursday, November 18th, to remove myself from all applicable email accounts, return keys, ensure paperwork is appropriately filed, etc. That I must do as the committee chairperson. The vice chair, Wilfred Spring, will begin serving as the chairperson once my resignation takes effect. It has been a pleasure to serve the town of Templeton on the advisory committee, and I wish both the town and the committee both the best of luck in their future endeavors. I will continue to attend town meetings and watch closely as the town progresses and grows. The town is on a good path, and I encourage all town boards and committees to continue to move forward. This isn't the end, as I still have a strong interest in town government, but it is simply a goodbye for now. Thank you and best wishes. Best regards, Matthew Rivard, Chairperson in Advisory Committee. I'll accept the motion to accept the resignation letter as read and reviewed.
So moved.
Do I have a second? I have a motion by Ms. Bartolomeo and a second by Mr. Kaplis to accept the resignation letter as read and reviewed. Is there any discussion?
Yes, there is, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Spring, go ahead.
With profound regret, we are basically losing the best chairman that this committee has ever had. By far, the best chairman of any committee in this community. I say that very sincerely because I have watched town government and how things go. You have done an excellent job, and I'm really sorry that they can end up seeing you go. You'll be surely missed by this committee.
Thank you, Mr. Spring.
I second that.
Yes.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Say abstaining?
I almost
The I-
voted against that. I don't want to let you know.
I would have understood why you would have.
Yes.
The ayes have it. The motion carries at 6:39 p.m. Next item on the agenda, item 5B on November 14th, 2021, from Kelli Pontbriand, the town accountant, an adjustment to certified free cash. Good morning. By now, I'm sure you have seen that our tax rate was approved at $15.24 on Wednesday. In working with the DOR on the recap and with the auditors, it was discovered that I missed a very important entry in FY21. This entry was recording the overlay from the FY21 recap in the amount of $313,293. With making this entry, it now moves this amount from the free cash to the overlay account. So now the certified free cash is $1,134,704. dropping it to the $313,293. We did not lose that amount.
Yeah.
It has just been moved to a different bucket per se. Please accept my sincerest apologies for missing this entry. Kelli Pontbriand, Town Accountant. I would entertain a motion to have this letter entered into the record as read and reviewed.
So moved.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Kaplis and a second by Mr. Spring to enter the letter into the record as read and reviewed. Ms. Pontbriand is on the call with us this evening. Kelli, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
There we go, Kelli. You're muted. And we're very well, thank you. Would you please explain this for us real quickly?
Okay. So that is an entry that gets made in November, and November last year is when I was working 2 full-time jobs for the town because my assistant had left. I was packing to move, and it was an oversight. I missed that entry, and when the auditors went through the records and we were working with the DOR on the recap, that was when it was discovered. And again, it's my sincerest apologies. There's no excuse for that, but like I said, it's not that we've lost the money, it's just moved from one bucket to the other. So now we will have, excess money in the overlay that can be voted by the assessor board this year to release to the town to use for purposes, which is basically the same thing as free cash.
Does the committee have any questions for Ms. Pontbriand on this item? Hearing none, on the motion to accept it into the record as read and reviewed. All those in favor, please vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? The ayes have it. The motion passes at 6:41 PM. Thank you, Kelli. Next item on tonight's agenda, item 5C, from Adam Lamontagne, a draft proposed usage of free cash. I will note this was prepared before receiving the item that we just voted on in 5B. I would like to make a motion to have read it directly from the way that I wrote it. I move to recommend the town administrator revise his proposed use of free cash to align with the town accountant's recertified numbers. That is a motion.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Rivard and a second by Ms. Bartolomeo to recommend the town administrator revise his proposed usage of free cash to align with the town accountant's recertified numbers. Mr. Lamontagne, would you care to take the hot seat and give us the explanation of this before the change that was just made, and then we'll go for it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So what I'll have to do is just make the adjustment. It was good that it was caught now as opposed to later. So, it is what it is, and we'll just make that change when, and I'll send out the amended proposed uses of the free cash.
Does the committee have any questions for Mr. Lamontagne regarding this proposed use of free cash, other than the fact that obviously it's going to have to change for Ms. Pontbriand's adjusted numbers?
Well, obviously the OPEX and all those numbers will have to change as well, based on the policy.
Correct. Based on the
Changes.
policy, we were anticipating to do 2 deposits of the 355, but
Mhm.
because the reduction, it reflects the lower amount from the annual, but at
Okay.
least since we caught it early, we'll be able to make those adjustments to the policy.
Any other questions from the committee? Going once, going twice. Hearing no other comments 3 times on the motion to, again, Matthew. On the motion to recommend the town accountant, town administrator revise his proposed usage of free cash to align with the town accountant's recertified numbers. All those in favor, please vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? The ayes have it. That motion carries at 6:44 PM. Thank you, Mr. Lamontagne. Item 5D, from Michael Currie, the Select Board Chair, an invitation to an all boards meeting on December 6th at 6:30 PM at the Senior Center, at the Senior Community Center. You are invited. We will have pizza, because that's always a luring factor. All boards meeting Monday, December 6th, 2021 at 6:30 PM. Senior Community Center, 16 Senior Drive, GPS for 79 Bridge Street, Baldwinville, Massachusetts. The Select Board will be hosting the annual joint meeting of all our town boards and committees. Certainly, we look forward to sharing and learning the progress we have made this year. However, we also hope to hear from you with respect to your views of that progress, the direction you feel our organization should be heading in, And most importantly, your ideas for how we might better work together to improve communications, efficiency, and better serve our community. My fellow board members and I look forward to seeing you on the 6th for some great communication. Sincerely yours, Michael J. Currie, Chairman, Select Board. I'd like to entertain a motion to have that entered into the record as read and reviewed.
So moved.
I have a motion to have a second. I have a motion from Mr. Spring and a second from Mr. Kaplis. Or was it, Mr. Kaplis? To enter it into the record as read and reviewed. Is there any discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all those in favor, please vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? The ayes have it. The motion carries at 6:45 PM. Final item of correspondence this evening is item 5E from Kelli Pontbriand, the October 2021 budget versus actual document. I will leave it to the committee. We can either make a motion to have this tabled to the next meeting on December 2, or we can review it now.
I'd like to
So
make a
moved.
motion to
Well, there was two choices. You're making a motion to
move it.
move to December 2. I have a motion to move this, to table the item to December 2nd. Do I have a second?
So
Second.
moved.
Okay, I have a motion by Ms. Bartolomeo and a second by Ms. Honta to table the budget versus actual document for October 21 to December 2nd. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? The ayes have it. That motion passes at 6:46 PM. We move to old business. From September, the Templeton Advisory Committee policy on general stabilization fund. We've got two of them in your packet this evening. One was a previous edit, but the second copy that's in there is actually the final. It's the one with the, if you look at it, it's the one that actually has the revision history on it.
Yeah.
So that's the final copy. I will entertain a motion to, again, let me read this correctly so I get it right. I will entertain a motion to approve this as presented and forward to the administrative intern for posting to the town website.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the Templeton Advisory Committee General Stabilization Fund policy as presented and to forward it to the administrative intern for his posting to the town website. Is there any discussion on the policy as presented?
Is there?
Your numbers were, the numbers were changed. to
Yes,
to
I
fix.
know.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure you realize that. Mr. Kaplis, you were going to say something.
I was. Isn't there a stabilization policy already for the town?
This defines the actual, from the advisory standpoint.
Speak up, Will,
It
so we can hear
doesn't,
you.
it doesn't conflict with theirs. You have many other finance committees, actually run a stabilization fund policy. And this basically shows where we are. That's really what it's meant for. It reiterates the same points that should be in the policy by the selectmen.
So my only concern, why, I mean, is this committee, I mean, I understand policy, believe me, but is this committee designing policy for the town?
No, for the committee.
That's for the committee.
This is how we would recommend that the town
This is not-
present its stabilization.
This is
fund.
not unusual. Other financial and advisory committees do this.
Mhm.
This was actually, and I quote, this was plagiarized for the most part from another community.
Yeah, let's not reinvent the wheel, right?
That's right.
No, I agree with all of that. I don't know, I just have a, okay, I understand what you're saying.
And just for the committee, just so the committee knows, all this stuff in the right-hand margin, that'll all be gone when this is over with. It's just because I have track changes on the document in Word when I was working on it.
Are we still following the same format as this town policy design
Yes,
formatting?
yep, this is the same format as everything else that
Same
we.
font, same,
Yep.
okay.
Oh, yeah, we can follow us out.
Is there any other discussion on this item? Mr. Bennett?
Yes, just for clarification, are you considering or voting the sheet that has the balance of the stabilization fund and the general fund, or is that the next item in line?
The whole thing is one, it's all together, Mr. Bennett.
All right, because the numbers presented are off a little bit,
Okay,
because I don't think, like the 21 operating budget, it's shown as 17,637,313,
Mhm.
except at the October 2020 special town meeting, the debt service was reduced by 131,384. And then at the annual town meeting we just had in May of 2021, it was increased by 105,000. So it's not an awful lot, but if I'm giving numbers, I'd like them to
Can I
be
answer
accurate.
that one?
Go ahead, Mr.
I
Spring.
put a stake in the ground as to the annual town meeting. We're not gonna change and chase out other meetings that they can change this.
Okay, but you're not giving the correct balance for fiscal 21. That's not the
That
town.
was the
budget.
voted budget at the annual town meeting. And not any changes above and beyond that.
But it was amended twice. The budget was amended, Will. So the
When was it amended? Mr. Bennett?
October 2020, Article 3.
Did you hear what I said? I said, this is an annual town meeting, it was done. We're not chasing amendments later on in the year. This is not to
That's
take it
effective
into
of that day.
chasing that type of thing.
But you're not putting out correct financial information then to the
As
town
of
At the
residents.
time-
May,
At the time this was voted, at the annual town meeting, this was correct.
It's no longer correct, though, Will. It's no longer
well,
correct.
if you
I'm not gonna argue, I'm
you
just
write
saying
a,
it's
write the
not
paper
correct.
on Monday, on Friday, it's not correct.
But it's town
was
meeting
Monday.
votes, two of them adjusted the vote. So the final budget was not 1637. That's not our fiscal 21 budget in the record. When you see the annual town report, that won't be the budget that we
Right.
had.
No, I'm hearing
It
you.
won't be on the tax recap sheet. It won't be, it won't. those
See, I understand what he's
official
saying,
records are not
because
charged with this.
Instead of
That's
having
all I'm
one
pointing
annual.
out.
Let me reiterate this. This is at the call of the chair, because I actually put in what page of the annual town budget this came from. To clarify that. I anticipated people were going to question changes, period, that happened outside of when we had this. It actually is page 17
What?
of the 21 budget, that number is on.
All I am saying is
I know,
that
but-
is not the actual budget for the town.
It was
for
at the
fiscal
time, though,
21.
Jeffrey.
That's
And
all
it was at the
I'm
time.
making.
What?
And
Let me,
Go
I
ahead,
can
Mr. Chair.
probably, I can solve this by making a small amendment to the second page
Okay,
where it says FY 2021 operating budget. I will
Make a footnote.
I will make it, I will amend to state FY 2021 operating budget as of annual town meeting in 2021.
Yep.
Does the mover accept the amendment? Well, I don't even remember who moved it at this point. Who,
Who moved it?
Who moved
Mr.
it?
Spring,
Mr. Spring, you accept that
Yes.
amendment? Who was the seconder?
Ms.
Me.
Bartolome.
Do you accept the amendment?
yes.
The amendment is accepted by acclamation.
Good point, Jim.
That'll solve the problem right there, because then it'll be more specific to say
Yeah.
when we took the number. Is there any other discussion on the motion as amended?
Hurry up before-
Hearing none, all those in favor, please vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstaining? The ayes have it. The motion to approve as amended and forward to the administrative intern for posting to the town website is approved at 6:53 PM. 6B from old business, comparison communities. Mr. Spring has presented a table of a dozen communities, a dozen, 1, 2, 3, 4, 13 communities. This has been tabled from previous meetings. I have proposed a couple of potential motions in this case. One of them would be the motion to table the topic until December 2 for a final review and approval of comparison communities. The second would be to accept them as presented and forward to the town administrator, copy select board, and for the chairperson to sign.
If I can, Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
just to take and explain what we have here. In getting these communities, the DOR DLS has a database which has all the communities on it. If you go to the comparison communities and you put in some criteria, the criteria I used was based on our TA, that none of them should be $10,000.
it doesn't.
Excuse me,
10,000 people or less.
10,000 people.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I just wanted to make sure it was clear.
When I did that, putting in the population for our community, and I went plus or minus 10%, because there's not going to be any community exactly the same. I came up with 25 communities. Okay. Unbelievable, but yes, that it is. The next step I took was to take and end up looking at our budgets and try to take and get some realism as to our budgets versus all these other communities, all 25. I chose 10 million to around 26 to 27 million. That eliminated 11 communities, leaving it down to this.
Were they poorer than this or richer?
There's a mix.
Some of the other communities that I did were much richer than us.
Yeah.
At this particular point, those are some criterias I had, and I got the rest of the data from the database, and I put down the, if you look at it, DLS database, I put the actual place where you can end up looking at it, and there is six areas that you can get data from. I chose some. I left it to the committee to go look at that per se. Now, the question I have is this. We have an expert here. He has participated in no less than three of these community comparisons. And I'm just going to take it end up seeing, to take it end up Mr. Kaplis to help us where he and the selectmen, what criteria did you guys use during 18, 19, and 20? Do you remember those?
I do. I believe I do.
Because some of these communities are way above the ones I'm using, and some are actually quite a bit lower.
Right.
So and some of the information I looked at, like hometown locator, I found that some of the data on there was erroneous, especially with the town of Townsend. You go on to that thing, you click it up, it shows they only have a population of 1,000 on that site.
A little off.
And I went,
Just a little bit.
that's no, I can't use that as a database.
No.
That makes sense.
I'm not gonna use the Boston Globe,
Did you do DOS?
so I use the DOR DLS.
Yes.
So I mean, I'm looking for some input for all the committee to understand where, at least since we have you, I can't ask Mr. Currie, he's not here.
Right. Right. No,
It's nice to have a resource.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I did look at what you sent out, and I was very impressed with how you actually got the comparisons down to where you got them, and I can see how you did that. We typically we did the by capita figures. We did the square miles. There was a lot of things that we put into account when we looked at this to make sure, and we did miss. We try to use, regional school district versus non-regional school district, but obviously some of the communities, as you saw for the last 10 communities, that there were a couple that weren't regional school districts, but based on size of the community, based on the population of the communities, very similar to, Templeton as a whole. That's typically what we used. I mean, based on, but again, what you used here as far as, mileage and,
What a bit of
Tax,
it came off from past years.
yeah, this is, and I can see that, but this is great. This is really, really good work.
And just, Mr. Kaplis alluded, just so everybody knows, there was 2 communities that has been on the selectmen's one is Munson. They were on, I kept that one on because I wanted to, I have another community that had been used. And West Boylston is another community that doesn't have a regional school district. Out of all of them, those 2 are the only ones.
West Boylston's got so much business. They have a
Yeah.
huge business community. I mean, I can't even imagine being compared to them.
By size,
By size, it makes
Size,
sense.
but other than that.
By size, it does make sense. I agree with that.
Yeah, but if
point.
we had the business, we wouldn't even have to worry about the stuff.
Well, it's a
Right,
comparison of how
Yeah,
we're doing
budget,
against
When
the same size
budgeting.
communities.
Yeah,
That's-
so It's like.
So,
it's
You're not
like
gonna get everything correctly.
Between
not
ice
real,
and
right.
water.
So I'd like to take and end up making two motions with Mr. Chairman.
let's start with the first one.
The first one would be to end up sending a letter to the selectmen, asking if there's any specific criteria that they would like us to include.
Send it to them so that it's there first.
Yep.
But I have a motion to send a letter to the select board asking if there are any specific criteria that they would like us to use in the community comparisons for FY '23. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Are we gonna send them a copy?
Yeah, we'll send them the copy of this. at the same
And
time.
and let them know how it was, the criteria that was, that we used. or That we all used.
Based on. Okay, well, sounds good.
And in this case, Mr. Spring,
Yes.
because you prepped this document and you best know what the criteria were that you used, I'm
Yes.
going to ask that you, I'm gonna ask you to draft that letter, if that's all right. Are you amenable to that?
Yes, if I can, but depending on how my health.
I have a motion and a second to send a letter to the select board asking if they have any criteria that they would like us to use in preparing the community comparisons for FY '23, and to send a copy of what Mr. Spring has already prepared to them as a guidance. Is there, and this copy will go unsigned because it is not finalized. It will be listed as draft. Is there any, I have a motion to second. Is there any
I don't know how
discussion?
to make drafts on.
I'll take care of that. Okay. I'll handle that. Don't worry about that. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The motion carries at 7:01 PM. Mr. Spring, you said you had a second.
Yes, before I make the second one, if you look at the additional information I have on Templeton, this is very critical to us as a community. The maximum levy limit was $12,282,686.
Well, can you explain what that is? Because I don't think the people will know.
That's the maximum levy limit, or how much we can end up having as a budget, basically put. The excess levy capacity, we are within $6,502 of that maximum. $6,205.
6,502.
Thank you.
The levy ceiling, and this is a totally different number, is $19,050,566. Our override capacity, I put these down, we may not go for an override, we may not ask that they can end up going over the ceiling. Our override capacity is $8,369,441. I just want to point those out as additional information that's on the sheet. I thought that was interesting when I ran across it. I didn't go through the other communities. I didn't think it was pertinent, but I thought it was, for us, it was pertinent because we are very close to the maximum levy limit. The second motion, Mr. Chairman, is that they can table this until after the first of the year, one of our meetings in January, so that when we get the information from the selectmen, that we can end up reviewing it at that time.
Does that still align with the community's ability to create the budget, et cetera?
Should work.
Okay.
Because we don't use the budget till we.
So, hang on. Let me just look at the calendar real fast for you. December, first meeting in January, first meeting of the year would be January 6th. Does that work? Second meeting would be January 20th.
I was looking more like the 20th. This, we get the holidays here.
So let's make a motion. So the motion would be to, the motion would be to go, would be to table to January 20th.
Yes,
Does any, okay, so I have a motion on the, I have a motion to table this discussion till January 20th at the advisory committee regular business meeting. Is there any discussion? I'm sorry, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Spring and a second by Ms. Bartolomeo. Do I have any discussion?
Well, thank you for doing that. I know it was a lot of work.
Yep.
And it's good information because it fits us. So I think that.
now, when I'm able
Thank you
to
for
sit
doing that.
down, it's not too bad, but I can't end up physically doing a lot of things about it beyond that. So I got a lot of sit time for
And you're set, you're a right-hand girl at home. Thank you, Carolyn, for helping him.
Will, if you send me just a list of the criteria that you use to pick those communities,
Okay.
I can draft the letter. I'm still chairman for a week. I can draft that and get it out before I mean
The community comparisons?
yes,
Okay.
I can draft the letter to the select board and get it out before my resignation takes effect, because I'm technically not resigned until a week from tomorrow.
Okay.
So if you just get me your,
Yes.
I will get that out before I'm done.
Yep.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to table until January 20th, please vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. That motion carries at 7:05 PM. New business. Received on October 13th, 2021 from Adam Lamontagne, a request regarding a project for which ARPA funds may be used. Mr. Lamontagne, if you'd like to come to the hot seat. I will entertain a motion to accept or to recommend that this project move forward. I will entertain a motion to recommend that this project move forward. You have to have a motion in order to discuss.
Oh, so what do you want me to say? So moved?
So someone say so moved.
Okay,
Thank you. Is there a second?
it's been a hard day.
All right, I have a motion from Ms. Bartolomeo and I have a second from Ms. Hansa to recommend that the project move forward as presented. Mr. Lamontagne, regale us, please.
So you have my request in front of you, and as I indicated with the ARPA funds, any request, and when we get all the department heads and everything, we'll have a joint meeting with the select board to go through those ARPA requests. But in the time being, this request is important because it helps us come up with our spending plan with the ARPA funds. We anticipate to have $2.4 million right now, which we have about $1.2 million that we've already received of ARPA funds. So with that 2.4 million, right now, as it looks, if we figure out our revenue replacement, which will come to be $2,000 to $5,000 in my request, we can actually determine if we received any lost revenue replacement dollars. And let's say, I know other communities are doing this, and some communities, let's say, I'll give an example of Templeton lost, let's say, $400,000 of lost revenue. We could apply that to general government services, which means that that $400,000 can be applied for not the eligible listing that you see, but for general government services. So we could come up with $2 million for the eligible criteria that has to meet, and then $400,000 would be for general government services. So it doesn't have to meet that criteria, but we need to have the auditors go through our numbers and see if we have any revenue replacement that we could utilize these funds with. So that this request would fulfill that, to have us come up with a spending plan to utilize with these ARPA funds, because the town will be receiving them, and it's up to us to determine how we're going to proceed forward in that fashion. I'm not sure if Kelly wanted to add anything further. she did speak with the auditors on this, and I'm not sure she wanted to share anything further.
Kelly?
I don't really have anything to, say further on that. It's just that the calculation for this is, it's a crazy calculation that they've gone through of all the different things, because it's not just what we've gotten in general fund revenue, it's revenue for the town totally. So like for us, it brings in the MSBA money that we got for the school, any grants, all of that. And there's all different things in that calculation of what they are considering revenue loss. So our auditor has hired a person that is full-time doing that now, doing the calculations for all the different towns that are, asking for that help. And I know that they did Hubbardston, and I think theirs was almost little around $500,000 is what was their revenue loss. And, we can do this for 4 years. So it's based on the year before. So, I mean, it's not just the revenue loss for this one time, but it will be the next 4 years. We can redo the calculation based on the new numbers that come in.
Committee have any questions for Mr. Lamontagne or Ms. Pontbriand?
My only comment is, I think this is within the right of the selectmen to do it. I mean, I'm not sure why you're asking us to. Because they're really the ones sticking it up, asking for.
I think you were asking for this committee's recommendation on this as well, to be able to go back to the select board
Correct.
with that recommendation as in hand, correct?
Correct.
There you go.
Well, they don't necessarily listen to all our recommendations, so it's up to them to take it into doing it. I just don't see us as getting involved in this per se.
It's up to the committee, but I wanted to give an opportunity for you to have your input.
Any other questions on this?
Yeah, it's just more within, to me, it's more within the area of the selectmen picking it up. It's because it's spending money, and I'm not sure where this is coming. I don't have any idea, and I can't end up saying that, hey, I go along with this if I don't know where this additional money for they can pay. I mean, the selectmen are gonna have to come up with it somewhere, and I don't know where they're gonna, it's up to them.
Well, it's an eligible use under the ARPA funds.
So it's coming from ARPA.
Oh, it's gonna,
It's coming from ARPA funds. It's coming from ARPA.
to use, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's coming from ARPA. It's a one-time use from ARPA.
I think that it's gonna be a blessing because the trickle down effect of this COVID thing is not anywhere near over.
No, it's gonna take years.
And I think back to, I think it was 91, I have to look. Yeah, I sure look. Anyway, what happened was the state ran out of funds.
Mhm.
And we didn't get the money that we expected as a town.
Mhm.
And it took years for us to get on our feet. We barely survived those years.
Mhm.
So thinking that we walk away from this whole thing unscathed is an illusion, because little businesses that can't manage, people that have problems, there are so many things that we can use if ARPA can help us with. Last night, the Capital Committee talked about bridges that need fixing. There's big construction projects. And that we need to grab every penny we can get, because if we don't, it is going to hurt our community so badly.
Mr. Chairman, if I could.
Yes.
I don't want to give the impression I'm against them doing this.
Mhm.
I just think it's more within in their realm than ours. I mean,
Well,
it's just,
But we
And
can. we can
again, this
say
is a
we're-
recommendation
We're
to the
just in
select board.
favor of it.
Yeah, and that's what the emotion is. It's to recommend this to recommend that this be approved by the select board. And they have to take final action on it. The fact that they're coming to us and asking is laudable in that respect. So I think that's what
is this a
that's the
request?
next item.
Is this a request from the administrator, or did it come from the advisor of the select board? Can I ask that question?
This came from the accountant, well, the accountant with the auditor, and I put the request in.
Okay, so it's not necessarily from.
But it could be a golden parachute.
Because the select board are the authority, we gave a
Okay, I
commitment
just-
that we would
because
engage the advisory.
They already had asked.
It doesn't matter.
They're already looking to pick it up. Just already doing this and just wanted to take and see what we were. that's
I'll
all.
say yes.
Yeah, okay.
And it's gonna be on the select board agenda for Tuesday.
Tuesday? Or Wednesday?
They have it Tuesday because of Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I think that's anything we can grab, we gotta grab it.
Yep, yep.
If we don't, somebody else will.
Anyone else have any further discussion on this item?
No.
Hearing none on the motion to recommend the select board approve the suggested use of ARPA funds for a study with the town auditors on revenue replacement. All those in favor, please vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? The ayes have it. That motion is approved at 7:13 PM.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That can make a huge difference.
All big time.
Huge.
Yep.
We're fortunate where we have the.
Because of the years that we did, that the state didn't have money, we had nowhere to go. We just did nothing, got nothing done.
Do you want to see the Patriots game?
Yes.
Okay. You want to see kickoff, right?
Just.
Oh, well, I'll be glad. I'll
At
just,
least 3/4? Okay.
I'll be glad. to,
Item 7B, from Kelli Pontbriand, the town accountant, FY 22 first quarter general accounts activity report and special articles activity report. I'll entertain a motion to accept this into the record as read and reviewed.
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second? I have a second. I have a motion by Mr. Spring, a second by Mr. Kaplan to enter this into the motion, into the record as read and reviewed. Ms. Pontbriand, welcome back.
Thank you.
Okay. Please give a brief description of what you have presented to us. Mind you, this was given to us at our regular business meeting on the 28th, and we tabled it to now in order for the committee to have time to review it and for Ms. Pontbriand to be back here to be able to answer any questions that we may have on it. So please give us a brief explanation of what we have here, and then we'll open up the floor.
Basically, it's just two documents. It's the first quarter revenue that the town has received, and then the special articles, the status from the departments as to where those special articles are in the process. So if you've had any chance, if you've reviewed any of that, if anything you have questions on, please ask, and we can go through those.
I'm going to walk right down the table and let everyone have their chance at it. Mr. Francis, Mr. Kaplis,
Absolutely not. What's it?
Mr. Spring.
My only comment is I tried to look at what was put out for the draft of the estimate for the fiscal year as far as revenue. And looking at this document, it's good to take and see where we're at, but I can't equate it to where we're going to end up with revenue at the end of the year. It's
Kelly?
just too early for us to.
Kelly, can you maybe help a little bit with that? Give us an idea of where you think we're at this point?
I can't really understand everything he's saying. It's very muddled with the mask, so.
I'm sorry, I said that I tried to look at what the administrator had put out as far as the draft revenue estimates. And I couldn't equate to that because to me, it's too early to take and try to end up saying where we are, because revenue, the first quarter revenue doesn't necessarily mean that we're on track or not on track compared to what he has estimated. And that's all my comment is. This is good information, but it doesn't help us to see where we are at the very end of the year.
Okay, and that is correct, but this is something that the administration and the select board voted that we would do this on a quarterly basis. So that and that's what I do in the report is I do the revenue along with the expenditures for the budget versus actual, and the revenue is done quarterly. So, that's fine, but this is, that's why this document is included.
And I understood that you do the quarterlies to let the selectmen where we are, and just, it may take into quarter three, you think, to take and actually see where we are against the projected revenues or estimated revenues. That's all my only comment.
Anything else, Mr. Spring?
No, I thought this was, I had a lot of information about past stuff, and it's good. But we don't know where the final landing point is.
To start.
Understood. Ms. Hunt? No, Ms. Bartholomew. All right. Mr. Lamontagne.
The only thing I'm going to add is on the special articles report.
Yeah.
We made progress. We had on the mini split. We received the quote, so we should be able to go out to bid relatively soon. Just an update on that front. A lot of this construction stuff's backed up. So I've been working with Mr. Zozic on moving forward with the procurement on the mini split.
Good.
Just an update on that, because I know some folks are paying attention to that.
Okay.
And I just want one other comment.
Yep.
Thank Kelly for at least sharing this with us, because not everybody on the committee has probably seen what you had presented as a selectman when you did present this as the first quarter report. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have any? I'm sorry, were you gonna say something, Kelly?
No, I just said you're welcome.
Okay, just wanted to make sure the Zoom meeting doesn't. Anyone else have any questions, comments? Hearing none on the motion to accept the reports into the record as read and reviewed. All those in favor, please vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The motion passes at 7:18 p.m. And I think, Kelly, that might be it for you.
Okay.
So-
And just so that you are aware, when we do these quarterly reports to the select board, the very next day, they're uploaded to the town's website. So if you want to get that report, it will also give you the revenue plus the special articles. I know that, I've watched several of your meetings, and the special articles is something that's a lot of the time. So it will give you a status report quarterly as to where things are, especially now with the COVID and the supply chain and everything. It's a lot of delay that, we normally have not had. So just keep looking at those quarterly and you'll see where things are.
Yes, is it, Kelly, is it possible that after you have presented this to the selectmen, you can send this to the advisory committee?
I could do that.
Thank you. That would be helpful rather than us trying to chase it down.
And but I also add, it's been very helpful having you here the past few meetings, Kelly. I hope you continue to join the committee for this. This has been very educational. We appreciate your time.
problem. Anytime, just let me know.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night.
And Matt, thank you. You've done a wonderful job. Gonna miss you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Item 7C from Mr. Wilfred Spring, proposed Templeton Advisory Committee orientation document. I'll accept the motion to enter this as a guidance document for the advisory committee and have it posted to the town website.
So moved.
I have a motion, I have a second.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Spring and a second by Ms. Bartolomeo to approve the document as presented and post to the town website as an advisory committee guidance document. Mr. Spring, if you care to speak on this, please do.
Another case of where I saw a couple of communities that had an orientation document. And I plagiarized a lot of stuff from there, and I made it pertinent to us as far as the amount of members and some of the other some of the other things that we do. And I think this is at least a good indication to new members to end up looking at this, so they at least have an understanding of what the advisory committee does.
Does anybody have any questions or concerns about the document?
I say thank you very much for doing this, Will.
Thank you, Will.
It's
A lot of
also-
it was done by another community.
Well, still, yeah, but
Still
it's also
there.
doing.
Plagiarism is the best form of flattery in a lot of cases.
You know, I've gone to a lot of the Association of Town Finances, and one of the longstanding members of that association, Mr. Lamontagne, has every time I go to his seminars, it's always plagiarized. It's already been done. Do not end up trying to end up creating the wheel.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly right.
Yep. Okay.
This gives the opportunity for any of the public that wants to know what the advisory does. It gives you a good lowdown on what the job entails, because there's no other place you're gonna find that, really. Thank you, Will.
Any other discussion on this? Hearing none, all those in favor, please, of the motion to, and all those in favor of the motion to approve the document as presented and post to the town website as an advisory committee guidance document, please vote by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Abstaining? The yeses have it. The motion passes at 7:22 PM. Thank you, Will. Well done.
Thank you.
Item 7D. This was presented to me on September 22nd. It's from Mr. Will Spring. This is the next policy that the advisory committee wants. We would like to see the advisory committee review. It is the advisory committee policy on one-time revenues. As we have done previously, I will entertain a motion to table this item for review at the
I would say-
December 20th.
May I suggest that we move this into February?
You want to move to February?
Yes,
Hang on, let me look at a calendar.
the first meeting in February.
Let me look at a calendar. I want to get the date.
Because
I'll entertain a motion to have this tabled for review and final approval on the advisory committee meeting of Thursday, February 3, 2022.
Yeah, let me explain why.
That's fine. Before you do it, do we have you guys get someone to make the motion, please?
It's so moved.
I have so moved. Do I have a second? I have a motion by Mr. Spring and a second by Ms. Bartolomeo. Please be my guest.
The reason I want to end up doing that I needed the membership to look at other stuff here, because when this was done originally, and I only made one change when I gave it to you, and I went, wait a second, that's the Department of Revenue suggestion in 9 and 20. There's some other stuff in here that may not be appropriate now because we have a different financial outlook here for some stuff, but it's still pertinent to the fact that we're talking about one-time revenues, that we should end up having a policy that is basically would be in line with with the selectmen. Unuse it. Maybe it's not, but we at least can say, please don't use anytime, one-time revenues like we used to. We used to take and do a lot. If we have this on our policies, the select board now and in the future will know that this advisory committee
As a policy.
has a policy that says, hey, you shouldn't be using it for just, to take and end up doing the regular budget.
Mhm.
There's appropriate times to use one-time monies. And that's my comment.
Is there any further discussion on the motion to table this until the regular business meeting of Thursday, February 3rd, 2022? Hearing none, all those in favor, please vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? The ayes have it. That motion carries at 7:25 PM. Item 70 of new business. My resignation creates a vacancy on the Narragansett Regional Agreement Amendment Committee, the RAC. And at this time, I will accept nominations to fill that seat. Person, hang on, let me just get through my thing first. 4 things. Persons may self-nominate if they so desire to do so. Nominations do not need to be seconded. Nominations must be accepted by the nominee unless you self-nominate, in which case it's automatic. And then nomination will be confirmed by a roll call vote. Now, Mr. Spring.
Yes, I'd like to take it into putting this vote off a little bit, because the person that, to me, has got most stake in this as far as the district is somebody with children. And he has stepped out of the room. When he comes back, I'd like to take and propose him.
Would you like to just push this off for the moment? And we'll
Yes,
come back?
yes.
Okay, so I will use the call. Huh?
I was just gonna say, I don't want to intervene with your meeting, but there is an urgency on this appointment.
We're gonna get there today.
Oh, you're gonna get there today?
We're gonna get there today. I'm gonna use
Another day.
I'm going to use the authority as the chairperson to move on to other items on the agenda and come back.
That's not what I was saying.
Okay, no, that's fine.
I'm going to use my authority as chairperson we're going to skip over item 7E for the moment. Item 7F. I make a motion to cancel the regularly scheduled advisory committee business meetings that would be scheduled for Thursday, December 30th, 2021, as this would be the 5th Thursday of December.
So move.
Second.
So I moved it. We'll take your second.
We'll vote
Moved by
yes.
Mr. Rivard, seconded by Mr. Spring to cancel the regularly scheduled advisory committee business meeting on Thursday, December 30th, 2021, as this is the 5th Thursday of December. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All abstaining? The ayes have it. That motion is adopted at 7:27 PM. The next 3 motions I'm going to make are all in relation to the 2022 annual town meeting, and these are for planning purposes for the advisory committee. I make a motion to schedule an advisory committee pre-town meeting on Thursday, April 14, 2022 at 6 PM to review and make recommendations on the warrant for the annual town meeting scheduled for May 10th, 2022, and for the chairperson or clerk to post said pre-town meeting legal notice in the Gardner News for the Saturday, April 9th, 2022 edition. That is a motion. So moved. Give me a second.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Rivard and seconded by Mr. Spring. Is there any discussion on said motion? Hearing none. Because this is scheduling, I'm going to ask for a roll call vote on this particular motion. Mr. Francis?
Yes.
Mr. Caplis? Mr. Spring?
Yes.
Ms. Hanza?
Yes.
Ms. Bartolomeo?
Yes.
And I am a yes. That motion passes 5-0, 1 absent at 7:28 PM. My second motion is to schedule a continuation of the advisory committee pre-town meeting on Tuesday, April 16th, 2022 at 6 PM to continue reviewing and making recommendations on the warrant for the annual town meeting scheduled for May 10th, 2022, if necessary. And for the chairperson and or clerk to post said pre-town meeting legal notice in the Gardner News for the Saturday, April 9th, 2022 edition. This meeting may be canceled by the chairperson if the committee successfully completes review of the warrant on Thursday, April 14th, 2021. That is a motion. I need a second.
Second.
I have a motion and I have a second by Mr. Spring. Is there any discussion on that motion?
I think your date is wrong.
It is wrong in here. I said it correctly. I said it correctly.
Oh, I didn't get that.
Yeah, I said it correct. It's wrong in my suggested motions. I said it correctly.
Okay.
Yep.
I didn't copy that one.
That's okay. No, that's all right. Is there any other discussion on that particular motion?
No.
Hearing none, because this is scheduling, I'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Francis?
Yes.
Mr. Caplis? Mr. Spring,
Yes.
Ms. Hansa,
Yes.
Ms. Bartolomeo,
Yes.
and I am a yes. That motion passes 5-0 and 1 abstaining at 7:29 PM. Third motion is a motion for the chairperson and or clerk of the committee to present the drafted recommendation document for the annual town meeting on May 10th, 2022 for final review and approval of the advisory committee at the regularly scheduled business meeting on Thursday, April 23rd, 2022. That is a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any discussion on that? On that motion? Hearing none. Mr. Francis,
Yes.
Mr. Kaplis, Mr. Spring,
Yes.
Ms. Hansa,
Yes.
Ms. Bartolomeo,
Yes.
and I am a yes. That motion passes 5-0 and 1 abstaining at 7:30 PM. Now I'm in trouble. You can just poke your head, but I can move to member comments and then come back to that particular item. I'm still under, I still can
Yes.
adjust the agenda any old way I so please.
Yeah.
At least for the next 7 days. So, while we wait for Mr. Kaplis, I know what he's doing, so he should be back in momentarily. We'll move to member comments, and I will go in alphabetical order. So Ms. Bartolomeo.
Well, this has been a good meeting. I am gonna miss you terribly. I think that you have a lot at stake if you're gonna be here longer than I am, so I hope you can come back. Town government one way or the other, but it's an educational process. And it's been a good meeting.
Thank you. Come back to Mr. Kaplis. Mr. Francis.
First of all, I am going to miss you as chairman. You ran a very good meeting.
Thank you.
I appreciate that, particularly as a new member.
A list, F list.
Having said that, I am very concerned about,
Oh, there he is. He didn't escape me. I went all the way outside. You in there?
I was,
He wasn't trying to escape.
I wasn't trying, I apologize.
No, that's you're fine. Don't worry about it. Go ahead, Mr. Francis.
I just have a very brief comment. I've noticed, the rate of inflation is astronomical. It reminds me of the late 1970s, very much so. And budgets, maybe this year will be all right, maybe even next year will be all right, but the government always tends to underreport inflation, and the official numbers are somewhere in the 8 to 10% range, and the actuality is probably maybe double that. And I'm really very concerned about the impact on the town budgets down the road. And I don't have a motion to present at this time, but I do think that it's something that we as the advisory committee should be very cognizant of. That's all I have to say.
I agree.
Yes.
I'm going to complete member comments, and then I will double back to the item that we jumped. So, Mr. Kaplis. I was going in alphabetical order. You weren't in the room. I went to Mr. Francis first. You're up.
Everything's great, thank you.
Okay, all right. Ms. Hansa.
I am also sad to see you go. I hope that you do come back at some, at some point because you're meant to do this.
Thank you very much.
That's it.
Mr. Spring.
Yes,
A couple of things. Make sure you speak into the microphone.
yes, couple of things. I'd like to take and end up putting on the agenda for the next meeting, the highway budget for 21 and 22. And also the end of the year for 21 for discussion. I see some things here and I'd like to take and at least have those discussed, or at least try to get some clarification on the budget, because I see some duplication of items and I don't understand them per se. And I'd like clarification. It needs to take and end up getting clarification, because it doesn't, if you look at this, it does not fare well to have the same thing on twice, and the budget being spent in 21 completely. I would have presumed that the items were bought, and this is a duplication in 22 budget.
Was this in the finance book, the financial book?
Yes,
Just that the town gives us?
yes.
And was this, you guys meet with the, because I wasn't here during that budget season, so I don't know. Did you guys meet with the select board during the budget?
That's
reviews?
not the question I'm asking. The highway department in the 2 years, I mean, we don't go back and look back when we have the budget things,
Mhm.
like the 22 budget, we don't go
Save
back
it
and
for
say,
save it for the next meeting.
what's 21?
Right,
No.
So I ran across this and I went,
okay.
that's
I
strange.
understand now. I
We
understand.
need clarification.
I understood.
Okay.
Fair enough. I just wasn't sure.
So I'd like to think I end up having that as a agenda item at the next meeting.
You will be able to do that.
Well,
Because you're the chairman at the next meeting.
I'm putting it out there
Okay.
so that everybody understands
No
it. I'm not,
surprises.
you know, and I'll make sure that people get the correct documentation. The other thing is the annual meeting for Association Town Finance has already gone by.
Mhm.
The 3 Zoom meetings have taken place. I ended up looking to take it end up because they said that they would end up having the handbook available after.
Yes.
I contacted the individual that said that they was the person that would do it. I believe that person sent me an email. I haven't checked. It looked like when I checked my email real quick before I came to the meeting, and there was a link to the book. We need to take it and end up having that new handbook put on our page. It's the old one that we have there references in 2010. We have another one in 17, and this is the latest one in 2021.
Yeah.
So there's been some, on my understanding, there's been some changes. So those the things I will get them and I'll either give them to you so you can pass them on to the correct person to get them on to the.
We'll do it.
Because it does say the handbook and it says link, and I don't profess to take and know how you're going to end up getting what I have in my email onto there.
Okay, fair enough.
Send them a copy of your email.
That's what I intend to do,
No.
and that's my 2 comments.
You're gonna be the most appreciated man in the whole town hall. I hope you know that. The most valuable person.
What do you mean going to be?
He is, huh? Yeah. Well, let's not spoil him too much.
Yeah, right.
I love it, huh?
Before I make my comments, I'm going to return, I'm going to use my discretion as the chairperson to return to new business item 7E. Again, because of my resignation, it leaves a opening on the Narragansett Regional Agreement Amendment Committee. And this committee needs to nominate somebody to take that position. Again, I will read the 4 rules. A person may self-nominate if they so decide to. Nominations do not need to be seconded. Nominations must be accepted by the nominee when they're not self-nominating. And then nominations must be confirmed by a roll call vote. And this is as Mr. Lamontagne previously said, this is a very important committee because this is Templeton and Phillipston getting together and rewriting the regional agreement for the Narragansett Regional School District. And they've been hammering at this for about a year, and that they're getting close, but we need to, this needs to be seen over the finish line. So,
We get a lot to
Yeah.
lose if we don't do it right.
yeah, and that's absolutely right too. And so this is a very important committee to sit on. It's about a monthly meeting, give or take.
Yeah.
So anyways, at this time, I'll accept nominations.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
the person I'd like to take and nominate is a person that has people in the school district or children that will be in the school district, because all the rest of us are a little bit older. Mr. John Kaplan.
Mr. Kaplis, you accept said nomination.
It makes most sense.
It does make most sense because I have all the kids in the school system,
Well,
right?
you
Yeah,
also
it's
It's
have,
me or you, so.
you have background.
He's
too.
getting
Well, you
off.
do too.
He was on because he had children.
Yeah,
All right, I'll accept.
all right. Mr. Kaplis accepts the nomination. It's once a month for.
I get it.
Are there any other nominations?
And all you do is bring back the whatever.
Information.
Information.
Okay.
Bring back the information and vote on whatever they're.
And hopefully you don't end up letting get away with the
You can't
$5,000.
make rules, Bill.
No,
Well, you
school.
either dominate or you
There's
don't.
been some
No, hey,
discussions
stop you.
about.
Enough of you. Enough of you. Be quiet. Are there any other nominations? Hearing no other nominations, roll call vote. Please vote yes if you support the nomination? No, if you do not. Mr. Francis?
Yes.
Mr. Caplis?
Yes.
Mr. Spring?
Yes,
Ms. Hanza?
Yes.
Ms. Bartolomeo?
Yes.
And I am a yes. That motion, that nomination is accepted at 7:39 PM.
Mr. Chairman.
Well, I haven't made my comments yet.
Oh, okay. I know, I'm all
Hey, look
talking
at-
about
Okay,
it.
go ahead.
Uh,
I know.
Would you end up making sure that the select person, I believe it
It's
was
Mr. Toth.
Mr. Toth,
I'll make sure he knows.
that
Yeah,
and so he could pass on the
Yep.
information.
I will send that out tomorrow. And I will copy Mr. Lamontagne and the select board so that they understand that the nomination has been made. So,
Anna.
okay. My comments for this evening. First of all, thank you all. This was a very productive meeting. I think we did good work here. Thank you all for your support over the last 7 months. I appreciate it. I am humbled to serve on this committee, and I will, as I said in my resignation, this isn't the end. This is just a goodbye for now.
It's been an experience, so
It has been an experience. I 100% agree with you. So I still have a great interest in town government, and I don't know when I'm going to return. But I will come back. I will come back
You
and
get the government you deserve. so
That's
you
right.
gotta stand up for
Yeah.
yourself,
absolutely,
everybody else.
I agree. So, like I said, it's not done. It's not permanent. I will be back, but right now it's very much more important that I make sure that my 6 and 4-year-old or their daddy is home for them when they want them, when they want them there, and that I can do homework with them and do everything else that I can do with them. And so it's, like I said, it's not the end, but it is just a goodbye for now. I thank all of you. I appreciate it, and I leave you in the capable hands of Mr. Spring. And at this,
You ever need anything, we have your back, you know that.
I do know that, and I thank you for that as well. And on that note, I make a motion to adjourn the advisory committee until December 2nd, 2021 at 6:30 PM
So
for a
moved,
regular business meeting.
so moved.
I have a motion to have a second. Second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. We are adjourned at